everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon. If you enjoy the videos here, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the Word Balloon YouTube channel, and of course, if you enjoy the audios and the videos, you could subscribe to my Patreon page, patreon.com/wordballoon. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's time again to talk about another episode from the first season of the animated Harley Quinn show that has been streaming on DC Universe and now is airing on the Sci-Fi Channel. And really happy to welcome back co-creator of Harley Quinn and co-showrunner Patrick Schumacker. Welcome back, Patrick. I like it. I like the Wonder Woman hat. And also really enjoyed this episode in particular. We're talking about a cliffhanger here. Episode 8, LOD, RSVP, the Legion of Doom. Finally. It opens with a great heist happening at the Atlantis Museum. And we get Clayface doing his best Aquaman imitation to get things started. So that was great. But we finally get to the Sea King finally shows up himself and takes on Harley's crew.
Yeah, you get to see Clayface giving one of the worst performances of his life. The way that he tries to convince people that he is that person is by literally just saying he's that person.
It is I.
Aquaman.
Not to John DiMaggio's performance as Aquaman in Brave and Bold.
There may have been a nod there. The Aquaman thing, I'm glad you brought that up because this was one of the things that was the discussion. Aquaman's portrayal, that is, was definitely a discussion that we had with DC where we originally wrote it. He's voiced in the show by Chris Diamantopoulos. Who is a very talented voice actor and on-screen actor as well. But he's the voice of Mickey Mouse now in all the shorts. And he's also, I think a lot of people know him as Russ Hanneman from the Silicon Valley series. He's the guy who's, the billionaire who has Tres Comas as his tequila company and talks about how he wants a car with doors that open like this, not like this.
He's great character. Loves him on Silicon Valley. Hilarious character.
So good. So when we originally conceived our version of Aquaman, he was kind of cut a little bit more from the Momoa cloth of just the, the sort of macho, almost like surfer kind of thing. Like he's beachy. He's like an outdoorsman. And then we ratcheted up the sort of he's out of a Corona commercial, where he literally had a bottle opener on the back of his sandal, that kind of vibe. And we did that, and I think he just kind of came off. We were told that he's coming off as a little bit asinine, and this is one of those times where we're like. And maybe we're not kind of smartly leaning into what makes this character comical, and we're sort of diminishing the character a little bit. And we had already recorded Chris doing that version. So when we got that note, we had to rewrite and re-record Aquaman for this episode and moving forward. And so we ended up kind of wanting to lean into more of all right, well, he's a king, Atlantis. Let's lean into sort of the reality of it, right? Can we make him? I think the original pitch was can we make him just like a pompous, regal character out of Frasier? Which is why the joke even showed up in there about Harley making fun of him, calling him saying when you're done with this episode of Frasier, can we move on? Kind of thing. And so, yeah, even he is a little bit, petty with the schoolyard, making fun of King Shark and Harley and all of that, and getting high fives from his dolphin companion named Juba, who is literally named after one of my daughter's stuffed animals that she named Juba, who happens to be a fish.
Hilarious.
I was like, that seems like a fishy name. Anyways,
cool.
Yeah, that's how Aquaman came about, and the take on Aquaman, and that he considers himself sort of this erudite, intellectual, poet of the deep, the Dickens of the deep. actually, is
Yes.
what we called him. And that was really there so we could have Harley call him Deep Dickens. Let's be honest, that was reverse engineered by a bunch of 5-year-olds. So they actually managed to, Harley and the crew managed to tie up Aquaman with the help of Ivy, who came to the rescue. And then, of course, bristles at the fact that the news is calling her a member of the crew, because she's like, I'm not a member of the crew. I don't want to know. I'm friends with you, Harley. I hang around because I like you. I'm not a member of the crew. And everybody's like, yeah, you're kind of a member of the crew. So.
And it impresses the Legion enough, the Legion of Doom.
Exactly.
That they get an invite to be a possible recruit. And they're going to have a big recruitment affair at the Legion of Doom headquarters. And I love the opulence of the Legion interior and everything, the wonderful golden statues and beautiful portraits of all the Legion members and everything, and including nice to know Roger Goodell is a member of the Legion of Doom as well. Obviously, an angry football fan in the writers' room. So
I felt right. A lot of similarities between the NFL as an organization and the Legion of Doom. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many. We were like, okay, so the Legion of Doom is sort of the tangible symbol of veneration for Harley. This is this validation, this veneration. She's made it, or almost. She's almost there because, oh my gosh, she's getting an invite for this prospective members night at the Legion of Doom. We're like, we need this place to, seem opulent. We're talking, seem like cutting edge. So, it was a lot of talk of what is Google offices, these sort of tech company playgrounds, kind of wonderland that is ratcheted up, and so I'll never forget that when I used to work in commercial production, kind of advertising, that stuff, and I used to take meetings over at this ad agency called Chiat Day that's over. It's in LA, and their offices were they had Nissan. I think Apple was a client at the time. They had these offices that were just it was like a playground, and they had this giant fish tank, that was next to a basketball court, and it was just all very cool and just fun. And I guess everybody works long hours there. You got to incentivize people to stay. So that was the thought behind the Legion of Doom's corporate headquarters. Which Scarecrow then kind of takes everyone through the tour to show them all the amenities that the Legion of Doom offers if you were to become so lucky as to get an invite. So and King Shark, of course, is excited about the 4-story shark tank that has a real diver that he can eat if he wants.
and the castle and the jewels and everything. Absolutely, I know. Again, Funch is just doing that wide-eyed wonderment of a child, and again the pendulum that King Shark swings on and everything, where he's just so innocent and so happy about everything too, the viciousness that comes through. I also love all the cameos that are there visually, and man, we got Black Adam hanging around, and Sinestro has a line, but it's just great seeing all these other members of the Legion of Doom show up and just kind of milling around.
Yeah, that Sinestro was that's James Adomian, who voices Bane.
Excellent.
Sinestro. And I was like, well, there needs to be something in the delivery that kind of acts as a comedic counterpoint to the juvenile, nature of the character. So Aquaman, it's the moment where Aquaman busts into the Legion of Doom party, and he's like, someone absconded with my family jewels. And then immediately Sinestro says, "Your balls." He's like, "Shut up! I knew that was you, Sinestro." And and James Adomian he does such great impressions; they're impeccable. And I was like, maybe a Vincent Price thing. I'm getting kind of a Vincent Price thing from Sinestro. And he does that. I'm gonna butcher it, but he's like, "Your balls," and it's just so funny that Sinestro. It's very out of character for Sinestro. Let's be honest.
Well, I don't know, man, because I got to tell you, it's fun. Like when Sinestro back, and it's on the DC Universe streaming service, or it was those superhero roasts, and
Yeah,
those weird live action things.
I love that.
And Charlie Callis played Sinestro, and I love telling this story because it's the God's honest truth. When I was working in sports radio, which is one of the reasons why I got the Roger Goodell joke right away. Charlie Callis was coming through town doing stand up, and he came in our sports radio station, and we were talking about different things that he had done over the years. And I said, and Sinestro, and his eyes got really big, and he's like, okay, I can take that off the bucket list. He goes, there's one of you in every city that remembers that show. He goes, it's only one or two people, and anytime I do an appearance, but you remember. I'm like, dude, you look like a Gil Kane drawing of Sinestro. I mean, it's ridiculous. So as much as Ethan Van Sciver and Johns kind of made Sinestro into the current version and stuff like that, I don't know, man. I liked it, and I bet a lot of us older fans are like, yeah, that's Sinestro, absolutely, man.
Yeah, we need more Sinestro in the show.
I agree. I think he'd be great. So
we'll show to space, and then we'll get some.
I understand. But and also, of course, Kite Man is there, but not as a guest. He took an extra gig. He's a waiter for the evening.
He's making ends meet, passing out some chicken skewers, and making friends with Bane, or trying to.
Exactly.
Up close magic. Nobody wants to see it.
Say it again. I didn't quite hear you there.
Bane's trying to do his up close magic, and no one wants to see it.
And also,
all sorts of fun things. He's like a hobbyist. Oh yeah, jack of all trades with his hobbies, and one of them's up close magic, and he puts on his little top hat because he needs a little bit of flair when he does it. He knows he's a showman. And as you were saying, just tons and tons of cameos kind of populating the background of this episode. I cannot even name them all. I would get on a weekly basis, our line producer would be like, well, okay, we have to tell DC, we have to give them a list of everyone who is in these episodes so they can vet it or whatever, and he'd be like, who's that? Okay, well, that's Livewire. Who's that? That's Reverse Flash. Okay, who's that?
Yeah, it was a good scene, Reverse Flash. Yeah.
I had to look that one up.
Who was it, last one?
No, I don't know. I was saying.
Oh, you didn't know?
I was like, I don't know. I gotta look that one up. I'm trying to think of I'm just completely blanking on these characters' names.
I think Icicle was there. I think we saw the back of Icicle's head. One of the Justice Society villains.
Ross, but then, oh god, there's the big purple guy, and
Major Force.
No, it's. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, man. No, people were gonna have to rescreen the episode and look at people and stuff. But no, and Black Adam's there, which I love.
Black Adam. He's the one who ends up, I think, throwing the lightning bolt into the ceiling that creates the crosswind that sucks. Aquaman out of the.
Oh, Aquaman! Yeah.
Kite Man out of the roof.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Hilarious.
Parasite. I had to look it up.
Oh, Parasite, of course.
He doesn't have any lines or anything. We were just,
he's just there.
People to populate the party.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had kind of done a little bit of legwork trying to tee it up that KG Beast was the front runner as the new member,
right?
Inducted. And then this is also the first time that we see KG Beast's interchangeable appendages. He's got a soup spoon. He's got his middle finger, his rubber middle finger that he uses later. He kind of has to screw. And that was
awesome.
I like, that's another thing where I'm just like, thank you, DC, for allowing us to do this. Here you have a character who's like an elite assassin who probably now in the canon of this show has to carry around a hockey bag filled with appendages for any occasion. And they let us do it. So thank you to them.
I would love to hear what Chuck Dixon's reaction is, the way you're using KG Beast. I believe he's the creator of KG Beast, as far as a writer goes. Maybe Graham Nolan. I don't remember who drew it, but yeah, that's again, there's a great, exactly, legitimate threat to Batman as he was portrayed in the comic books, but you got him as kind of the Swiss Army knife of the DC universe.
He's a Swiss Army man. You're right. Yeah. Oh, I did want to mention. So this is another episode written by Tom Hindman, and this was directed by. It was a team effort on the direction front. It was, Matt Garofalo, Ben Jones, and Frank Marino, who all. It was one of those situations where we ended up having like different sequences directed by different guys, and production necessities and that kind of thing. So yeah. But hey, it came out as a cohesive story. So.
And the B story is great too, where Cyborg and Dr. Psycho are dealing with this mysterious tentacled beast that lives in the basement of the mall.
Yes, that was originally actually voiced by my writing partner Justin Halpern.
Oh, crazy!
Whose screeches can be heard later in the series as Man-Bat, but we eventually replaced Justin with Phil Lamar. Utility player Phil Lamar, who voices Black Manta in the show.
Didn't he play Jason Praxis in the last episode too?
Did play Jason Praxis, and then he also ends up voicing this tentacle monster who is secretly living under the Dead Mall, and as it turns out, it is Cyborgman's great shame that it is his sister who has been genetically mutated after an accident gone wrong back in the 80s when Cy was working for the CIA doing covert operations. His sister was a scientist. Cy loved monkeys and octopuses. Was asking her if she could potentially figure out a way to splice them together to make a monkey puss. Because that's just adorable to him. Lab accident happens. She gets, as they do in this world. And Cy's sister gets turned into a monkey puss. A giant man-killing monkey puss. And then, this is one of the first times that we see Dr. Psycho use his powers to communicate. As he says, I'll be your whoopee. And, Ghost is one of his favorite movies, and he becomes the medium through which they can communicate through which Cy can communicate with his sister and try and set things right after years of having handled this relationship in their mishaps, or this mishap in their relationship so poorly. We get a lot of. We're like, well, we got to do a scene where this creature is just like screaming horrifically, and Cy is just saying these like tender, sort of loving words of encouragement from this hideous creature. So that was had to do that. That was too good to be true.
And she gets released at the end and is off creating havoc as opposed to living a peaceful life. Starts destroying people as soon as she's released from the mall. So,
and then we never see her again because she was probably taken down by a tank.
Well, and also I love the idea too that Ivy's suspicious of the Legion of Doom's intentions and stuff, and Lex pretty much says, "Hey, we want you," and it's that's great. And so obviously Ivy is out there warning Harley the entire time. This is a scam. They're not really interested in you. I'm telling you, don't trust these guys. They're jerks. I love in the second episode where she calls them dicks. And
this episode has one of my favorite jokes of the whole damn thing, just because I do like dick jokes. When Lex Luthor references the Legion of Doom or the LOD, it stands for Legion of Doom, and Ivy says, oh, I thought it was the Legion of Dildos. And then Lex Luthor just very calmly says, that is a sex shop down the street with which we are in a prolonged or protracted legal battle. The Legion of Dildos. And I feel like at some point the Legion of Dildos has to, if we get a season 3, the Legion of Dildos has to still be standing. Even this, despite I know I might be spoiling this for people who have not seen episode 13 of the show, but the Legion of Doom headquarters is not standing by the end of the first season. But man, it would be great if the Legion of Dildos was more structurally sound. It's probably a 1-story building, the Legion of Dildos.
In a strip mall.
Not like a dildo warehouse. Or like a mom and pop dildo shop. So that's, it's probably, it's in a strip mall. It's, it's shorter and wider. It's going to stand a tremor. So.
No, that's awesome, man.
On the shelves.
Exactly. Thank God they're rubber. Everything's fine. The product will survive. That's excellent, man. No, it's, again, I love the fact that, of course, not only we get the announcement that Harley beat out the KGB, so of course he puts his attachment up and he walks out. But then we see them all enter the Legion and stuff, and the crew is also accepted, even Dr. Psycho, with the provision that he is not allowed to go out on any calls that require them to face any female heroes. That's right. That's the one. But that's reasonable given Psycho's background and everything. But yeah, everybody's in. And one member in particular is waiting to talk to Harley about all this. And of course, it's the Joker. Yeah.
And so he's now back in the show, moving forward as one of her colleagues, the Legion of Doom. They are ostensibly equals now. But it's still a little bit terrifying for Harley to have to be confronted with her ex. And then the other thing, so that relationship is going to, continue and evolve moving forward. But then the other thing, the other, key relationship in the show between Harley and Ivy is, right before Harley kind of goes into this meeting with, as it turns out, the Joker, she gets this text from Ivy. They had a little bit of a tiff. Yeah, in this episode because Ivy told Harley that they didn't want her, they wanted Ivy. Harley didn't believe it. Then of course Ivy turns out to be wrong. Yada yada yada. But they are kind of at odds in the episode, and then they go to make up. Ivy is the one who kind of extends the olive branch, and then Harley's about to text Ivy back when Lex shows up and he's like, "Hey, it's your first day, welcome." And you start to get this inkling that like Harley is maybe moving on, that like maybe she's getting the sort of fame that she has won is starting to blind her to the more important things like her relationship with Ivy. So this is planting the seeds for things moving forward, which in the next couple of episodes is going to really break open, and kind of put Harley's relationship with Ivy kind of on the skids. So,
understood. Yeah. And then again, a great ending and a great cliffhanger ending. That it's funny because, and I'm thinking the way the pacing is going to be. So we're going to get 5, 6, 7 first, as far as Sci-Fi Channel goes. Yeah. Then we'll get 8, 9, 10. Mm-hmm. So we will get the full 2-parter that night that it debuts on Sci-Fi. And of course, DC Universe people could have obviously immediately binged right to the next episode and stuff. But it is, so yeah, tell me about just the idea of having a cliffhanger like this in the middle of the run. I mean, a bigger cliffhanger, it seemed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we just went for it. I don't think that there was too much thought put into it. We were just like, yeah, these things that cliffhangers existed before the age of binging. People are going to have to wait for a week. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, because in some form it will either, air one a day or once a week, I'm sure, in the future. So it'll, hold their...
Well, they do on DC Universe.
Oh, of course they did. Excuse me.
They actually do. They slow grip them. It's not an entire season that gets released.
I totally forgot. You're 100%
season 2 is on right now, but we're only, I want to say, 6 episodes now done with season 2 of 13. So yeah, they're going to be releasing new episodes 1 a week on DC Universe for the next month and a half or so.
You ever think of doing a William Dozier kind of voiceover like the old Batman 66? What's this? The Joker. Can it be?
So, yes. We ended up... We started with that idea because we needed a recap. Later, this is a season 2 thing that has not aired. There's an episode that happens that really required a bit of a recap before going into it, and we were going to do the William Dozier thing, and then we were like, wait a minute, what's our version of that? And we were like, we have Frank the Plant. So Frank ends up doing a bit of a. It's not a cliffhanger of like what's to come. Actually, we do a little bit of that, but it's more about it teeing up what the episode is about. But he serves as that. He lays the pipe for you.
JB Smooth, I got no problem with it. That sounds fantastic.
That was so much fun to write a monologue for him.
That's excellent, man. Always, anytime Frank shows up and has a couple lines, that's gold. So that's great. That's fantastic.
We need more.
Very, very cool. Excellent. Well, until our next episode, we'll find out what happens in episode 9 that continues the story, and we see exactly how things start to play out with Harley and Joker as equals in the Legion of Doom, or are they? But as always, Patrick, really great stuff, and thank you for giving us this behind-the-scenes look at a really, really great series. And so glad that more people are getting a chance to watch it now on Sci-Fi Channel, and hoping that the future is bright for the Harley Quinn animated series, and for you and Justin. It's a great show, and I'm congratulations on what you've accomplished.
Thanks a lot, John. We're really proud of the show, and we're glad people are finding it. So thank you for doing this.
Excellent, man. We'll talk again next week. Thanks for talking today.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks again for watching another Word Balloon video. We've got plenty more at our channel, Word Balloon. If you enjoyed it, please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thanks a lot for watching.